Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Matrix Podcast, Episode 4, Something Beyond Yourself. I am going to be talking about the poster that was just released. I just obviously, as you can hear, speechless, because MovieWeb did something actually very, very good. They, in the same post where they updated about the poster and they sort of were reporting on it, they very wisely put the comments that Lana was relaying to the Berlin audience about Keanu saying that everything you did with the first film talked about the next 20 years that would come after, which ended up being true, and you're doing the same thing with this one. That was Keanu's impression of the Matrix Resurrections. And then we have the tagline, which is the title of the next episode of the Matrix Podcast, where I'll be joined by a few of the Red Pills. Return to the source. And once again, the silences are because folks, we're so close. It's next week, next month. Imagine if it was next week, but no. So the main thing that I want to convey on this one, and obviously the title of the episode is Something Beyond Yourself. It's a comment that Keanu made in the behind the scenes of the Matrix Resurrections during the cast interviews, where we actually got to see some of the character first looks, including at Niobe, Jada Pinkett Smith. And when I think of Something Beyond Yourself, there's we just had the metaverse thing, which we need to talk about. Facebook, the inadvertent marketing that was done by them for the Matrix, where they had, I posted on Reddit, you can see it in my post history, that the lighting of the meta reveal Facebook event thing is exactly the same as the lighting in the Matrix Resurrections. And my fiancée Ray, I actually asked her about it, and she said they had a couple of months to change that, and they didn't, which is very trippy. And so for me, Something Beyond Yourself is it's two meanings. One is there's this thing coming up of it's the metaverse. It's the idea of maintaining avatars. It's like a self beyond your own self, and obviously Keanu was mentioning it in the terms of this is a film where, all of us coming together, we contributed to something beyond ourselves, kind of thing. And that's the positive side of Something Beyond Yourself. And that's what technology and art should be leave a legacy. So my thing is all the effort that Facebook is spending on this strange, reality segmenting thing that they're doing. It would really, that bandwidth, that technological bandwidth, imagine if that was applied to humanitarian causes or creative causes. It just feels so such a misallocation of resources and innovation. And that was a lot of the commentary about the first Matrix, about the in-world humans and in-world machines is why did we go that way with technology? Why did we misallocate what could have been, instead of trying to commodify our lives, make things super slick and easy, and going down that kind of quasi Wall-E route of just becoming so dependent on machines that they take over. Where was that check, and where was that sort of, it's the sort of impulse control check that stops you from losing your job, or if things get tough, leaving your partner or something, or leaving your work, or it's that thing where you just gain that perspective so that you don't take that extreme disproportionate action to what's going on. And my adage is, don't take a permanent action, an action that would result in a permanent result for a temporary problem. So okay, and to frame that with the Matrix, it's they had machines, starting to disobey, or, I think even earlier than that, I think the warning signs of, I don't think this is going too well with, the level of autonomy, and then just sort of scale it back. Like that's what that is that check. And I think that and now I'm using the word in the original way. Hopefully we don't have to pre-qualify it all this time going forward because of how they've bought the name, so to speak. But in a meta way, the Matrix itself, like the stories that the Wachowskis and Lana Wachowski are telling, are the check historically. They are that holding up of a mirror to society, to ourselves, to make sure we don't go down those roads. And that's what I consider to be the highest pursuit of art, and the highest purpose of art is that art keeps life in check. And I think there's no greater thing, I believe, that especially in these times where we're looking at people, organizations just getting just not bolder, but they're getting more, I don't know, I'll just give this, for some reason it's like I just saw Macron that just decided to update, I guess they're not too related, but he just decided to update the French flag, from a certain shade of blue. And it might not necessarily be related, but it reminds me of like nothing is stable nowadays. I feel like people are on sort of technological and authority, power trips where they have this thing of the internet, which is sort of bringing everything on the same playing field, where suddenly something like long unquestioned and long held to be like a pillar of society, whatever, is suddenly being questioned, And what I really appreciate the Matrix for is in this Trojan horse style, where you think you're just, watching an action film or like a philosophically charged, like, dystopian sci-fi kind of film, but it's actually really pertinent, like dialogue starters, and what's interesting again is like I gave my thoughts, I think I may have given them long ago, about my sort of visions that I had of the Matrix 4 at the time is what we were just calling it, and I saw it as getting very dream-like. And so dreams are linked to the cosmos, and I think of like Elon Musk and his thing of going to outer space, and I wonder if there could be some machine stuff but related to like going into outer space, like not just like farming planet Earth. Like imagine if they were like, well, we need to, like, the Earth facilities have been destroyed, and imagine if the machines have made it all the way to the moon and they're sort of building out like a network. And what an interestingly powerful thing it would be for us to witness within the Matrix, humanity coming together and like quote unquote, exploring the stars finally, but that itself is another form of Matrix control, and humanity, like their wings have been clipped and they're fated and doomed really to stay on planet Earth. So I figured that's a little running theory there. But one thing I might do if we have the time is, I'm going to actually look it up now, is I had actually started a competition back in the day. So the Matrix Resurrections plot synopsis competition. Reddit. So I started this out, and I think it's either been, so the announcing the Matrix Resurrection synopsis competition. So hopefully this isn't archived just yet. No, so it's not archived, so I'm not sure if I've actually relayed the story, but just in case I haven't, I'll read it. So this is me 163 days ago. Announcing the Matrix Resurrections I'll take that again. Announcing the Matrix Resurrections synopsis competition. Whoever guesses the plot closest in their entry will receive an I Always Knew shirt. Example entry below. So note, dear Matrix mods, please let me know if this sort of activity is permitted. It was an idea for a community activity I had, which I thought might be fun for us all to participate in. To kick things off, here is mine. Submit yours in the comments below and you'll be entered into the competition. What's going on? I think it's because I'm a bit hungry. Sorry, guys. Official synopsis for the Matrix Resurrections. It has been 20 years since Neo, Keanu Reeves, defeated the rogue agent Smith, Hugo Weaving, and brokered a peace truce between the machines and humanity. The secret of the Matrix's true nature is now known to all. Every human has the choice to live in Zion or in the simulation, and yet many far too many have chosen to remain plugged in. Zion, the last human city, lies nearly abandoned deep within the earth, run by a skeleton crew of only a few thousand. The Zionite researcher Kel Yahya Abdul-Mateen, too, one of the few self-freed real-worlders, believes something doesn't add up. So right there, I'm technically straying because of, before then we didn't know he was playing Morpheus, but I mean, Morpheus himself is a bit of a Zionite researcher, so this is still within, just swap for Morpheus, you still have this, still believe something doesn't add up. This many people choosing to remain under machine control simply cannot be true. He begins questioning whether the reality he was supposedly freed into is yet another system of control, and believes the architect, Helmut Bakaitis, never really set anyone free, creating a region of the Matrix resembling Zion and freeing minds into this place instead. His paranoia runs deeper still. He and his close friend ex-pilot Rig, okay, this is where it fucking goes off the rails. So Neil Patrick Harris have a second, more terrifying realization. So I mean, obviously this is debunked, and I've lost the competition myself because Neil Patrick Harris is very clearly the therapist. But anyway, I'll continue. So he shares his realization with his friend Rig. Humans have never truly been free, and the story of the machine uprising is itself a fabrication, a story disseminated among the still sleeping resistance fighters who believe they have uncovered the great truth of their existence. Seeking to find some way of transcending this prison reality once and for all, Rig and Kel seek out the semi-mechanical seeress, Anari Priyanka Chopra, who is rumored to be gathering the scattered essence of the One piece by piece. Again, she's not out of the game plot-wise because of the component of her potentially being the Oracle. So, and the Oracle bringing back the One is in her interest because I believe she's like the mother of the One. Yeah. So and the Matrix. Her reasoning is that machine logic being as efficiency-focused as it is, they would not have any reason to create more than 3 layers of reality: containment, control, and consumption. She believes there are 2 more layers to breach beside the Matrix itself, and that the place to start is with the man who has seen the Golden Code, Neo. The architect and the Oracle, Mary Alice, have combined into an entity known as the Omnissiah, which has resulted in the Matrix's now rainbow-colored code. The last remaining essence fragment of the One is in the possession of the Merovingian, Lambert Wilson, whose new guardians Lesh, Jessica Henwick, and Vor, Jonathan Groff, the now Golden Code-seeing Commander Niobe, Jada Pinkett Smith, who has been searching for Trinity, soundly defeats once and for all. So I think Jessica Henwick obviously plays Bugs and not a character called Lesh. Jonathan Groff seems to be another kind of therapist / simulation character, but with the melting mouth could be interesting, and he could be villainous. So I guess when we're ultimately comparing all these are sort of quote-unquote points I'll have to deduct and give myself, I suppose. So with Neo returned, like Niobe, his primary imperative is finding Trinity, Carry-On Moss. Given what he once believed to be reality was itself yet another illusion, another system of machine control, he believes Trinity's soul, like his, can be recomposed. Before he begins to lay out a plan for her return, Trinity appears from a rising pillar of light, emerging from the temple of the Omnissiah, the only known entrance to the inner Matrix, the second layer of the Matrix, which she has sought passage into since dying 2 decades ago, believing the deeper she went, the better chance she stood of finding a way of freeing herself and of finding Neo. What's more, the inner Matrix contains the only known passage to the innermost Matrix, the third and supposedly final layer of the Matrix's cruel triple-fenced illusion. The film ends with Kel's reality-transcending crew, himself, Rig, Anari, Niobe, Neo, and Trinity, commandeering the Descender, obtained from the Merovingian's real-world stronghold, and breaching through as a strange, all-transcending digital liquid barrier into the pure unknown. The final shot is of the Descender's screen, searching for new networks to connect to, and after the fade to black, we hear a distinctive sound, connected. Post-credit scene, Cypher's laugh. Ha 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 ha. The story continues in parts 2 and 3 of the Inner Matrix trilogy. The Matrix Reflections, 2024. The crew navigate the Inner Matrix, a strange liminal zone of reflection beings inhabiting the space between spaces, and the Matrix Restorations. The innermost Matrix contains the machine's most highly guarded secret, the kill switch for the whole Matrix itself. Activating it will force humanity out of the simulation and begin doing the real work of finally restoring reality itself. But just as this is the Matrix's greatest weakness, it is protected by the fiercest guardians as well. Looking forward to your entries, folks. Albert. And so people commenting, very interesting. There's some great comments here. I might link it to people if they want to follow it, right? In the description of this one below. So I'm quite happy with that one. If we have a bit of time, I guess I can read the next one. But particularly, I quite like the idea of this being the start of a next trilogy, because I think that would be fascinating. There's a couple of really interesting ones. So Bequake says Matrix 4 picks up where Matrix 3 left off, but Neo discovers that the real world isn't actually the real world. He's then able to break through yet another barrier. He winds up in a small cafe in New York City, sitting across from Barney Stinson. Barney Stinson... obviously Neil Patrick Harris. That prediction, sitting across, if I may say, to this Bequake, 162 days ago. So he was sitting across from Barney, as in Neil Patrick Harris, so I'm going to upvote that actually, even 160 however long days ago, because that ended up being true, which is very fascinating. So... so then this is Kemaiku. Given how much more toned down the fourth installment is and how it seems to take place nearly entirely inside the Matrix, I'm not sure. But perhaps the Deus Ex Machina had Neo and Trinity's bodies repaired, and they have lived in 0-1 for 20 years. The planet has been without the sun for over 600 years. The ecosystem has collapsed. Oceans partly dried up, and waste from the war polluting everything else. But discontent is spreading through the Matrix as the human race learns their true existence. Sati's rainbow code can barely patch up the glaring errors, starting to strain the system's ability to cope. More and more people want to leave, but the machines assure them there is nowhere else to go. Zion has repaired much of the damage, and with the help of smaller non-combat Green Eyes machines that some humans have befriended, even helping create new hovercraft with the understanding that the ceasefire means that these ones are not warships or armed. Tensions run high in both worlds. Programs retreat to the power plant mainframe more often to escape the growing issues. Humans no longer know whether they can trust sympathizers. Neo and Trinity return to Zion, and eventually the Matrix to bring Neo and Trinity return to Zion, and eventually the Matrix to bring an ultimatum. The machines are willing to call a permanent peace on one dangerous condition. Humanity will be unplugged entirely and never made to live a lie again, but inside a specially prepared zone in 0-1, which many insinuate would be like a zoo. Neo brings up the second half of the plan, which he spent 20 years convincing the machines to try. The power plant will be evacuated altogether, humans, machines, and programs alike. The fields have apparently already been moved. The machines will then sacrifice a portion of the city's power to launch a massive feedback pulse along the superconductors into the abandoned power plant, hitting the cloud and hopefully destroying it, restoring the sun for all of them. Someday they might rebuild anything better than what they have now. He warns the risk of failure is high, and if the cloud comes down, it will be as a poisonous metal rain for years, and humans will need machines to survive. It splits everyone, the legend of Neo suddenly ruined by his collaboration. But the fourth movie ends with the attempt, picking up with the fifth left on a cliffhanger. So shout out to you, Kemaiku, for that one. Sunny_Singh says Sati as well as Neo have taught love to the machines. Some machines out of love want to help Zion and the rest of humanity get out of slavery. A reversal of the beginning situation shown in the Animatrix, where machines are slaves of humans and some humans advocate for machines. So there's a little preview there. All right, guys, we'll leave it there, and until next time, bye for now.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
While we were making the first Matrix, I felt like that it's something beyond yourself. It's big.
The experience of making the movies was such a transformative time in my life. It was such an opportunity of a lifetime.
I remember leaving the movie theater knowing that things were just going to be different in my life.
You can't quantify how much it changed the world.
Walked out of the theater and thought to myself, finally somebody gets me.
I watched it, went out, bought another ticket, and watched it again. Blew my mind, blew everybody else's mind.
So what do you need besides a miracle?
Guns. Lots of guns.
These massive sequences with cars flipping and explosions everywhere. Bullet time.
Slow motion, man. That's the most iconic thing that I remember. Neo dodging the bullets.
I never thought dodge this was going to be a big deal. Dodge this.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
The ambition of its thought.
Try to realize the truth. There is no spoon.
I'm amazed at their point of view about reality and about the human brain.
It altered people's thoughts. What is real? What is reality?
Even in my own life, just looking around and being like, oh my God, we're in the Matrix. I would literally think that.
Mr. Anderson.
It's sort of impossible to articulate how it's seeped into our minds and culture. I can't even remember not having seen it. I can't remember my life before the world of the Matrix.
What do you know you can't explain? But you feel it.
Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is?
The Matrix as an idea has lasted 20 years. People use terminology like, are you going to take the red pill?
You're either going to take that blue pill or you're going to take the red.
Everything entered pop culture and stayed. We say a glitch in the Matrix, the fact that that's a part of the lexicon.
Oh, déjà vu.
A déjà vu is usually a glitch in the Matrix. It happens when they change something.
I think this is one of the few movies that has seeped its way into every kind of facet of popular culture.
I'll run into young people who've done college courses, all of the philosophies and ideas around the Matrix.
It's this amazing, magical, mythological world that has been created using numbers and digits. But it's actually about consciousness. It's actually about thought.
Billions of people just living out their lives. Oblivious.
You'll hear the sentences, "The Matrix changed my life." So I just say, thank you, changed mine too.